They were 5-0. They put up 42 on the Dallas Cowboys. I was sitting in the end zone watching the game going, my God, this guy looks incredible, Brock Purdy. The offense looks unstoppable. The defense looks insufferable. They're just suffocating opponents. They look incredible, right? And then the last 3 weeks has happened. What the heck has happened here? Now, I know there's injuries, all right? But the quarterback turning the ball over simultaneously as special teams has let them down, as the defense has completely let them down, it is not one reason why they're losing. But a big part is the defense can't get timely stops, and the quarterback, when asked to overcome some of the shortcomings of players being out or the defense letting them down, cannot execute. And specifically in the fourth quarter, it has been a nightmare. The last possession of the third quarter, fine. It was like a minute left. Basically, he's got 5 interceptions the last 3 weeks, all in the second half. And he's got 6 fumbles overall in the game in the season. He has put the ball on the floor and thrown the ball to the other team.
The fumbles are more concerning to me than the interceptions too. But the interceptions you can live with. You know what? He's still young relatively. He can go to the film, watch that. You just got to take care of the football, man. That was the problem with Jimmy. Just get Butterfingers all the same. Shout out Halloween tomorrow. Can't be doing that.
Well, and here's where I struggle with this. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is very good. But there are stretches in the game where you watch someone like Ryan Tannehill, and I'm using him in particular because he's probably not going to play again for Tennessee.
Will Levis looked pretty good yesterday.
Right? But there are games where he'll move around, he'll make plays, he'll make throws. These are NFL players. They make plays, right? But what separates Tannehill from someone like Mahomes and Burrow and Josh Allen? The ability to go 4 or 5 wide when the game is on the line and march his team down and win a game with his right arm. And right now, I'm looking at a quarterback and an offense that can't do that. Now, Joe, there's 28 teams that can't do that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but this is one of the 4 teams that I thought was a Super Bowl champion. This is one of the 4 teams that I put into the category could win a Super Bowl. And it was in large part because I had so much faith in Brock Purdy. And in the last 3 weeks, all of the goodwill that he's built up feels like it's evaporated. Now, I'm not saying he's trash. He made plays in this game. He had big-time plays. But you can't turn the ball over and be one of those upper echelon teams. You just can't.
Can't do it. Is it time to worry about Purdy? 888-957-9570. I want to hear from every single one of you. And let's start with Rocky in the Valley. Joe, what's going on, Rocky?
Hey, what's up, guys? Here's my take, man. That was obviously we lost from the jump. There was no energy, and the other caller was right. When in the first drive, Juszczyk couldn't get that short yardage, 31, we lost. And the defense, man, they don't believe in Steve Wilks. You know that. I know that. He's up there in the booth, and you could tell Fred Warner don't believe in him because he's not bringing that energy anymore. Greenlaw is half dead. The only player on defense that stepped up yesterday was Armstead. Armstead had his first game. I thought he was dead the whole year. Armstead must have been hearing us because he woke up yesterday. The rest of the defense needs to wake up. What they got to do, number one, Shanahan got to get the Grohl pair, fire Wilkes. This is the perfect time. You fire him, you have someone internally run the same defense that Robert Saleh and D'Amico ran last year. Just say, hey, follow the same script. Defense isn't, that difficult. It's not like doing a new offense.
Rocky, I think that's a little bit too simple. I think that's a little too simplistic, though. Just to say you can fire a new coordinator and then just say, hey, just do what D'Amico and Robert Saleh. Those are 2 really good offensive coaches, or defensive coaches, I should say, and head coaches in the league right now. Look what those guys are doing with Houston and New York. Like, those are legit head coaches. So if you fire Steve Wilks, just know that you're throwing a monkey wrench into the entire season defensively.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't think Steve Wilks is great. Is he all of a sudden going to make Charvarius Ward not commit penalties and get cooked?
That's the thing.
Is he going to all of a sudden not going to have Hufanga miss tackles because you switched the coordinator?
Coaches coach and players play.
Dre Greenlaw doesn't look healthy right now. He looked like he got the soul whacked out of him by Joe Mixon early in that game. And I love Greenlaw. We all love Greenlaw. Is Steve Wilks going to help Nick Bosa actually win a one-on-one in 2023? Earth to Nick Bosa. $51 million this year. Can you make a play? I know you can force a guy to step up so Armstead can make another play, but can you win a one-on-one? When was the last time you saw Bosa win a one-on-one with a tackle, beat him, either, plowed through him or whatever, and actually sack the quarterback?
Actually sack him? See, that's the thing. He's gotten close multiple times.
Great.
He hasn't finished. And when you get paid that much,
only counts in hand grenades, horseshoes,
and hand grenades,
and in the movies. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Almost.
Being close isn't good enough.
I almost won the lottery.
Yeah. Hey, but at least when you almost win, you still get like $100,000 or something if it's a lot. Rick in Oakland, you're on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Ricky?
Yeah, I was just talking about Brock and his concussions.
Okay.
Speaking from experience, I know it's affecting him. I've had 4 over my lifetime. I've 2 in 2 months in 2013. I still deal with that. But it's your reaction time is slower. And when you get tackled, you're hit, your body is jolted, your brain's jolted. So your reaction time is going to be slower. You're kind of working in a fog. He's a warrior, a battler. He's not going to comment on all that stuff because he wants to stay in there and help his team. But at the same time, it's kind of hurting his team.
Yeah.
He needs to take a break for a couple of weeks at least, get that cleared up. But it's going to affect him for long term. He'll have different degrees of concussions. He'll have a mild one. The next one he'll have might be a mild or moderate one. And it's going to progressively get worse over time the more you get and the more you deal with.
Absolutely, Rick. That's Rick in Oakland right there. And here's Tony Romo talking about not using the concussions as an excuse for Purdy's poor play in the fourth quarter.
When you have those instincts, gives you a chance to succeed more. And, this is the most adversity he's faced in his young career right now. It's always been successful, and it's like each game it mounts up.
And again, this week, he was in concussion protocol all week, but still practice. There's going to be people saying, heck, is this something to do with his play because of what happened being shaken up last week?
Yeah.
Don't think so.
No, and nobody cares. When you go out there and play, you either win, you perform, or you don't.
That's Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, CBS Sports, calling the game yesterday at Levi Stadium. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. Hey, you got cleared, you got to play well. Them the breaks, being the guy. Simple as that.
And to like the fourth quarter comeback thing is a real thing. Joe Montana was in the building, right? And Joe Montana. Brock Purdy reminds me of Joe Montana. You know what Joe Montana did? 26 fourth quarter comebacks in the regular season, 28 game winning drives. That's the mark of the great quarterbacks. When we think of Mahomes, has he ever held out? Like at the end, do you not think he's going to get it done?
No.
Jalen Hurts. They were trailing almost that whole game. What did Jalen Hurts do? From behind, won that game.
Yep. Yeah. Hell, Geno Smith did it yesterday. Geno Smith. Like, that's the thing. And listen, this guy was linked to Kyle Shanahan. McVay ended up getting him. But that was one of the things and one of the traits that intrigued me about Matt Stafford potentially coming to the Niners. You know what this guy does? And he did in Detroit. Time after time. Hell, remember that one game and everyone talked NFL films, his arm was dangling off.
Yes.
And he willed that team to a victory. And he came from behind in the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, that's what the elite of the elite do. And Brock Purdy, right now, he's not doing it. He's the reason they're losing these games in the fourth quarter. And it's tough because he was the big part of their winning prior to that. And it's hard to wrap our minds around the fact that, hey, our quarterback's struggling. He was an MVP candidate. Now it's still time that they're 5-3. The season's not over. No one is saying that. But it's on the brink of potentially going tilted depending on how this bye week goes. Because if they come out, Joe Shasky, out of the bye and still look like this, then there's a real problem and people need to go.
Fourth quarter, they could have won the Cleveland game with proper execution in the fourth quarter. Now, Brock gets credit for getting them down in position. Yes. They missed the kick. But I would say the couple of drives prior to that were horrific. Not just from Shanahan, but from also...
Should have been in that position.
Exactly. Yes. Did they have opportunities twice in the Minnesota game to win that game with a good drive?
They did.
Okay. What about yesterday? They had opportunities to cut that lead to make it tied.
Yes.
Okay? There's a reason when I look at the all-time, and it's skewed because guys are now throwing more. Look at the top 10 in comebacks in fourth quarter stats. Tom Brady, this is in order. Tom Brady 1, Peyton Manning 2, Drew Brees 3, Big Ben, Marino, Matt Ryan, Brett Favre, Stafford, Elway, Johnny Unitas.
All Hall of Famers.
Those are your game-winning drive guys all time when it comes to all the game-winning drives, all right? Now, that's where you make your money. That is where you become the dude. Why do we call Joe Burrow Joe Cool? Because yesterday, at any point in that game, you knew, I need a drive. At the end, they got the ball back, okay? They got the ball back, and they ran it down the Niners' throats and got anything they wanted. And then it was time to score a touchdown, and they just handed off to Mixon, boop, to the other side. 14 points, game over.
Yeah.
They got the ball on a short field, okay? After an interception from Purdy, double move from Jamar Chase, touchdown, first play. That's what a killer is.
They looked in control the entire time.
Absolutely.
The entire time. There was at no point in that game when I was watching it, which is rare, because I always watch a game, especially with Kyle Shanahan and now with Brock Purdy. I was like, oh, they still got a chance to win this one. For the first time in the Brock Purdy era, I was watching a game where I was like, oh, they're not going to win this game because the other quarterback's better, just playing better. And that was Joe Burrow yesterday. He was just better than Brock Purdy. Simple as that. And that's why they won. Well, and the confidence that he has in that offense with Zach Taylor, the confidence that Zach Taylor has in him and Jamar Chase, that is what an offense should be. I don't know if that confidence is there right now with Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Well, I don't know. Maybe he'll tell you different, but I'm watching his body language on the sidelines when Brock's making these turnovers. I saw that with Jimmy. Constantly. I mean, it's got to drive him nuts.
And everyone in the stadium knows, you got to stop Jamar Chase. And we couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. And then when they didn't want to go to Jamar Chase.
I got T. Higgins.
They used him as a decoy to open things up for others. Here's the other thing. The Niners at one point were trailing 24-10, and I knew game was over right then and there. Coaches with the most gains without a win when trailing by 8+ games in the fourth quarter. Listen to this list. There's not a good coach on here. Jay Gruden, 0-41 when trailing by 8 in the fourth quarter. Kyle Shanahan, 0-36.
Heading into the fourth, correct?
What?
Heading into the fourth quarter. Down by
at any point in the
fourth
fourth quarter.
Point. Oh, wow, okay.
8 points. Jay Gruden, 0-41. Shanahan, 0-36. Mangini, 0-35. Hugh Jackson, 0-35-1. Oh, no. Pat Shurmur, 0-34. Spagnuolo, 0-33. Dom Capers, 0-32. Tony Sperano, 0-32. Mike Nolan, 0-31. And Zach Taylor, 0-29. Shanahan and Taylor are on that list.
It's actually surprising that Zach Taylor's on there. There it is. We are playing Know the Show. Something is going to be happening on the show in the next 15 minutes. Don't call now, because I'm not giving out the contest line out now anyway, so you can't. But don't call the regular line either, because in the next 15 minutes, something's going to happen on this show, and you got to be paying attention, because at 7:50, be the first caller to call in, and I'm going to give out the contest line then and answer the question about what happened on the show first, and you will be on your way to Chase Center to play Knockout. So you got to know the show.
The law of averages, like, what do you make of that? Like, when they drop down 8 points, the law of averages tells me you're going to find a way to win one of those games just miraculously out of nowhere. And they can't. Is that a Shanahan thing? Is that a quarterback thing? Is that a combo platter? What is that?
I would say it's a Shanahan thing, but also it's a quarterback thing, because the quarterbacks you've had during that time, you got to think it's what? Brian Hoyer, Nick Mull. That's just all Shanahan era, right? So it's all those Jimmy G. So that's a lot of bad quarterback play, or decent quarterback play at the very least. And then you got Brock Purdy now. But there is a thing where it's like a Kyle Shanahan offense. If you're going to give him all this praise, you also got to look at that stat and say, maybe he's holding his quarterbacks back somewhat.
No, this is what I would say.
Like that's how you got to look at it.
You're calling them front runners. And I would say this. That's too strong for me, because front runner insinuates a lot of other other stuff.
But they play with their heads on fire. If they have a lead, then they're going to play and they're getting in your face. They're going to be rah-rah. But if they're behind, it's very difficult for them to come from behind, as you just...
Well, I look at it this way. They can't stop the run right now. So defensively, when they get a lead, you want them to be able to pin their ears back and get pressure with 4. They can't get pressure with 5, 6, 7 right now simultaneously. When they went 5-man front, Cincinnati, basically a hybrid of the 3-4, they were like, we dare you to beat us downfield. We'll give up a 20-yard gain here to Kittle, there to Ayuk. We don't think you can run the ball, and if you can't run the ball, your offense is negated. Now, all their big plays came on early passing downs, or early downs, passing the ball down the field. When push came to shove, and everyone knew you had to throw, they couldn't throw the ball down the field. Once they got a 2-touchdown lead, Cincinnati backed off. They threw for a bunch of yards. They marched down the field, and they did respond, and they get credit for that. But when they have to throw down 7, they just can't do it. And I think it's a byproduct of their philosophy offensively, where run, and then the play action is going to set up the passing game downfield, and we're going to do timing passing downfield, meaning we're going to try to attack the zones in the soft spot. And I know kind of before the snap, because I'm going to turn my back, where I want to throw. They can't go 4 or 5 wide, let the quarterback audible at the line and be the maestro the way Joe Burrow did and just attack teams and pick them apart. They just can't do it. It's not what their offense can do.
No.
And they have no man beaters outside of Ayuk. Who is winning a one-on-one?
Well, it's not going to be Debo when he comes back either, that's for sure. But that will help when he comes back. It does open up things for Ayuk. Juwan Jennings, by the way, nothing yesterday. 0.00 went up against him in fantasy, so I know for a fact.
How about this? Christian McCaffrey, great slot player in terms of a wide receiver. Have we used him in the slot at all?
No.
He might be your best slot player, and yet you have yet to use him in the slot. In a game where you're down Deebo Samuel, put Jordan Mason in the backfield and use McCaffrey as a slot player. At least use him as a decoy. The way they used Jamar Chase yesterday, I was like, we don't use CMC this way. If CMC's on the field, he touches the ball.
I was going to say, do we want him to touch the ball even? Do you want him to touch the ball all the time? Because if sooner or later this guy's carrying the offense, he's gonna be worn down by the end of the season. He can't keep doing everything for this offense, Joe. Put him at the slot. Put him at the quarterback. It doesn't matter. The guy can't do it all.
He juked 5 guys and had like multiple 3-yard gains. And I was like, he juked like 5 guys. It reminded me of Barry Sanders. Am I wrong?
No, it's a good point. It's a great point.
And then at the end, Jalen Moore got caved in. After Purdy throws the interception, they get taken back for I thought was a terrible pass, roughing the passer. It was a horrible pick by Purdy. His head hits the ground. The very next play, Jalen Moore gets caved in for a fumble play. And I'm like,
there it is.
And here's the thing. The other conversation is, the small hands is going to come back.
Small hands.
Because the fumbling. I'm telling you, bro, the fumbling is the most alarming to me. The Jimmy O-no throws. All quarterbacks make O-no throws. It's the fumbles, dude. The fumbles are killing them.